Welcome to the Football Historian Podcast.
By all means, enjoy it.
He will go right to the very top.
Dos, tres, cuatro times.
Here we go, Germans.
I will turn these results round.
All right, that's good manners.
There's animosity, but there's no fight.
If you can't beat them, join them.
How do you make me feel sick if I look at you?
No, I want to fight here.
Don't drink, don't sleep with women, don't drive fast cars.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit too!
Hello, welcome to the Football Historian Podcast. Another episode means another question from you at home. This week it's from Sam. Thank you very much for getting involved, Sam. He just said, is it true that Leeds swapped Dominic Matteo for Rio Ferdinand? It is and it's not. I found the best way to answer this question for you, Sam, which is why I've got this piece of paper in front of me, is from a quote from Dominic Matteo himself. I won't read it all out verbatim, but basically while they were at Leeds in 2002, an American finance company came in and basically loaned the two players, which was Dominic Matteo and Mark Viduka. They loaned them off Leeds and gave them back to Leeds in return for money that they could have. So Rio Ferdinand was sold for £30 million to Manchester United. Despite making over £12 million profit, they actually just had to use that money to pay off the loan, which was paying for Dominic Matteo and Mark Viduka. So in answer to your question, Sam, they did kind of swap Rio Ferdinand for Dominic Matteo and Mark Viduka, which is a bit of a mad one because you were at the club at the time, but that's just a financial mess that Leeds found themselves in. But again, that's another interesting question. I hope that answers it. Always happy to go in a bit more depth and answer any questions you may have. This week's episode is John Welsh. For anyone who doesn't know, he played for Liverpool, went to Hull, went on to play for Preston, played for a few other clubs, and he's actually working for Preston now today. He talks all about his career being a Scouser who goes to play for Liverpool, was part of the Istanbul squad, and then we hear the story of Hull City and then winning the playoff final at Wembley with Preston. So, hope you enjoy it. It's a big thanks to John for coming along, and yeah, enjoy the episode, and we'll see you next time. Hello everyone, welcome to the Football Historian Podcast. I'm joined with John Welsh. Thank you so much for making the journey into the garage.
No worries, thanks for having me.
We're going to talk about football, but the first question I want to ask you is, when did you know that you were boss of footy?
I never really knew, really. I just loved playing it. And I think when I was really young, I was always, because I had an older brother, I was always playing against kids older than me. So I think back then, football didn't start till like under 12, I think it was. And I think I must have been about 7. I was training with the under 12s, which was grassroots teams. But it was getting kicked all over the place, you know, going to the Astros every day, playing with older kids, and it was just something that I loved doing. I think looking back, I probably was good because I was playing against older kids and doing okay, like kids who were double the size. But my daily life was going to the Astro. The thing that I loved doing was going to the Astro, groups of kids being there. I think it was called Waverley Sports Centre it is now. Yeah. The staff from there would come out. I can't really remember how it went, but the staff would come out and put a tournament on, and there'd be a tournament on the Astro where anyone could go, literally get your team together and you're playing. And we done that every weekend that I can remember. And I just loved doing it. Never realised how good I was, just loved playing no matter what it was.
Yeah. That's where our 6SR team plays today, so we can say on Wednesday we can say we're the same pitch as John Welsh. Yeah. But I watched another interview you did, and you described it as a Scouse tackle, where you take everything, the ball and the man, hopefully, but if you just take the man, that's fine. Yeah. That's kind of what your game was like a bit. But you only had 2 red cards, as you say, and one of them was in school footy as well. So, you know, for someone who's known as a tough tackling midfielder, you've obviously got to be very good at tackling to not get sent off. So was that? Do you think that was maybe your best asset in your game, or is that just something you enjoyed doing?
I think a bit of both. I think I enjoyed doing it, and I was probably good at it. I was good at reading the game, probably more defensive than attacking as a midfielder, and I was good at reading things. So I think as I got older, I think it went less of a Scouse tackle where it was just everything to winning the ball, which obviously the more experienced I got, I was better at it. But I think when you look at young Scouse players now, they've all got the tackle. Yeah. I think obviously me playing up and down the country, you come across young lads from Liverpool, and they've all got it, whether they're playing as a centre forward, centre back, midfielder, winger. They've all got that tackle where they just throw everything full blooded. It's passion, isn't it? I think from the city, you want to win and you give your all to do that. So I think it just comes out in that. But I think for me, I was good at reading the game. I always seem to have a habit of being in the right place, the right time, in a defensive point of view. I'm winning the ball, and I enjoy doing it. Picked up loads of yellow cards, but again, I had the intelligence to know my limits and know that. Well, I think I'd done it once. I'll tell you a funny story now. So I was good at playing on a yellow, shall we say, or playing on the edge, and we were playing Wolves, big game. I think they were top of the league. It was in the Championship, and I'd been booked in the first half, just before half time. So he comes in at half time, and the manager Alex Neil was at Preston. His whole 15 minutes was to me, don't make tackles, don't give fouls away, don't get booked. We need 11 men on the pitch. So I'm like, yeah, okay. He goes out. I think it was literally 15 minutes. And it wasn't a foul, I don't think. And I'm pretty sure it was Diogo Jota. I'm sure it was. He's got away from me somehow, but I sort of tried to pull out and give it the all. I didn't touch him and he's gone over. And the referee straight away, yellow card, I was off. So you know you're walking off and you're thinking, he's just been talking to me 15 minutes, don't get sent off. And it was always a nap that it was going to happen. So, yeah.
That famous, I think, Mourinho story, and he says Balotelli did the same. So, not trying to say the same as Balotelli, but yeah, there's similarities maybe. Yeah. But obviously, you signed for Liverpool, that's the team you support, you're from the city, obviously, it must be amazing. But, what's the combination of pride and pressure? Did it feel harder to play for Liverpool because it meant so much, or was it just you were so happy to have that badge in your chest?
Probably went through both situations. I think as a young player, there's no expectations because you just, I love the club, love Liverpool, wants to play for Liverpool. That was my dream, that was my ambition. And then you walk into a dressing room and you see Michael Owen, Steven Gerrard, Carré, all these types of players who you've looked up to, you've been watching for the last couple of years. And you don't really, I didn't feel pressure. I was nervous, really nervous. Wanted to impress naturally. But I didn't feel the pressure. The pressure was probably more on coping in training, doing well in training, trying to prove a point that maybe I could hang with them kind of players. So that was the pressure that I sort of began with. It wasn't in terms. I when I first went up there, that thought in my head was never I want to get in the team. It was just like get up there, sort of find your way and prove you can play at that level with these type of players. And then obviously as you get on and the years go, then you start thinking, okay, can I push for the team? Doing well in the reserves. So the pressure, I didn't really, I don't remember feeling really pressured playing for or wanting to play for Liverpool, or when I did play for Liverpool. It was just a natural pressure of I want to do well, I want to try and stay in the team. So them type of things were the main pressures that I got. I never felt like, because I mean, when I come up, it was like the next Steven Gerrard, and I was miles off that, and I knew it myself. He was head and shoulders above anyone in England, never mind a young kid coming through. So I didn't feel that as much. I knew about it and read about it, and people would ask me about it, but I knew he was in a different level to what I would ever. If I was half the player he was, I'd have had a lot of better career in the Premier League. But there was never. I never felt no pressures other than the pressures that I put on myself to do well and wanting to get in the team. Any outside thing, pressures was never felt really by me, I thought.
Well, that Gerrard thing I was going to touch on later, but I'll say it now. In the Top Trumps 2005 Liverpool edition, you were described as a style of play that draws comparisons with Steven Gerrard. It felt like every Scouse midfielder who had a skinhead, wore Preds and had a big tackle was Steven Gerrard coming through, even like up to Conor Cody, even Jordan Ross did even more, he was smaller. So like, I know you've said it there, but like, did that not help you, do you reckon, just having someone who like everyone's going, oh, he's going to be him in a few years' time? Or
I don't think it did either way, really. I don't think probably the people who were the decision makers, which would have been the managers and the staff, they wouldn't have been bothered about that. If I was good enough, I'd have played. If it wasn't good enough, I wouldn't have played. It wouldn't have mattered whether people said he was the next whoever or whatever. It wouldn't have mattered really. But yeah, I think it probably might nowadays with social media and all that put a bit more pressure on players coming through. But you don't see that as much now. I don't think you hear as much about he's the next Gerrard, he's the next whoever it might be. But maybe when a midfielder comes in who's from Liverpool, you might get that, because I think we've had, I think Bobby Clark, was it?
Yeah.
Midfielder, and no one sort of labelled him as the next Gerrard, which, probably not being from Liverpool, that's probably maybe why. But it never added any pressure to me, because I knew how good Steven Gerrard was, and probably everyone else did. And that for me to get to that level, I aspired to be like him, because probably every young kid at Liverpool wanted to do that. But I knew, that the next was never going to be that, because he, in my eyes, and probably a lot of people's eyes, he was head and shoulders above anyone in the Premier League, and probably in world football. Never mind a young snotty-nosed kid coming up from the academy.
Yeah, well, I'd say it's a massive boots to try and fill. A lot of your early involvement with Liverpool was in European games. I got here was Vitesse Arnhem was your first squad involvement. I don't think you came on, but you were there. You were the only young player in that squad, because I know you talk a lot about Neil Mellor and Stephen Warnock and stuff coming up with you, but to be the only young player in that squad, what was that like, going on the plane, going to a European
It was amazing. Game? It was an eye-opener for me. Getting to be around these players first and foremost, and seeing how they conduct themselves around the place, see how they conduct themselves away from the training ground, sort of socialising with them a little bit, even though I was quiet and didn't say much. But just being around them and see how they were, getting food, how they were the day before training, on coaches on planes. So it was a great experience for me. It was a great learning curve for me. And that was something that probably I'd done a lot of. I think when we look around a lot of the European games, there was always an extra two travelling, or more often than not, there was an extra two travelling. And a lot of the times it seemed to be me and obviously Neil Mellor, because we were good mates, we were getting away with each other. But it was unbelievable, because, probably shouldn't say this, but when I wasn't in the squad, I was a fan. So me sitting in the crowd watching the game was brilliant. I was there watching the game, European game, cheering, trying to sort of quietly support the team, and you're singing songs in your head when the crowd is singing. But it was a great experience for me, not only as a player, which it was, but also as a fan, to get to see the team that I supported. Yeah,
and you come on against Ipswich in the League Cup. It's only 10 minutes to go when it goes extra time, penalties. So, were you expecting to get that much of a run out when you were on the bench that day, and obviously that to make your debut? It must have been amazing at Anfield.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. But I remember warming up on the sideline. I remember Phil Thompson was looking, shouting down. I remember thinking, I hope he's not shouting me, because I was nervous, really, really nervous. I was thinking, I hope he's not shouting me. And then I knew he was. And you're like, is he shouting me? And then he was like, yeah. So come on. I was nervous. I was shaking. My breathing wasn't right. And I was thinking, I don't think I'm ready for this. Goes on. And as soon as I come on, the ball come to me. And I just give a simple pass to someone. And I was all right then. I was zoned in on the game, quite focused. So I was really nervous. Done okay, I think. I think I had a shot that just went over the bar, possibly. But I thought I'd done okay. Was quite confident, and we got to the penalties. So Phil Thompson was sorting the penalties, and he was like, who wants to take a pen? So I was like, I'll take one. And he was like, he seen, anyone else? And I was like still had my hand up. But he must have just thought a young kid. I think he ends up saying to me, you can take the sixth one. And I think the Juve scored the last one. So I might have took the sixth one, but I'm just glad we won, to be fair.
Yeah, well, that's it. A day where LL's Juve gets the headlines, maybe for the right reason. It wasn't too often at Liverpool, but obviously a special day for you. And Gerrard Houllier was your first manager. Gerrard, Carragher, say he's like a father figure. They really loved playing under him. Yeah. Obviously, you weren't under him a lot of the time, but what was he like? Was he a special man? Or?
Yeah, he was. He always had the time for you. He always spoke to you, asking how everything was. Really tried to take you under his wing without babying you, if that makes sense. He'd let you make your mistakes, and if you needed telling about something, he'd let you know. But he was a good person to have, because he gave you that security. He allowed you to make mistakes, and if you made mistakes, he would tell you, but then he'd also give you the support that you needed to get better, which I always found really something that was really, you sort of want to do well for him because he was that type of character. And I'm sure when you, obviously, as you've mentioned, he was like that with the top pros and obviously the younger lads as well. He probably was more focused on other things. Managers have a tough job and what they do, they need to win games. But he always seemed to find the time to speak to young lads and make sure everything was okay. Gave you advice and tried to help you in any way he could to help develop us as young players.
Yeah, and then you go from that to Rafa Benitez, who I hear is obviously incredibly successful, but very, very different in his man management style, shall we say? And
complete opposite.
So what was it like when he first comes in? Are you all because obviously he wins the league in Valencia, and he's got massive stock, and you think what a manager he's going to be. Was it a shock to everyone that he wasn't like Gerrard? He wasn't looking after you, or he was just more like tactical?
He was just he was just different. He was very tactical, very team orientated, and he didn't really give you the warmth that Gerrard Houllier did. Just different styles, I think. Equally as successful, but I think Rafa wasn't sort of. He was very, I'd say cold, but he didn't care. He wanted, as long as the team was okay, as long as we won games and you tactically done what he wanted you to do. He was okay, but he didn't really speak much to young lads. He was fairly up, next game mindset sort of thing. He was honest, which was a good thing for me. And we had a meeting with him, and he told me that I wasn't part of his plans, and I'd probably get 2 or 3 games at most, which is obviously why I moved on. So very direct, but not as warm as what Gerrard did. But again, he was successful and won what he won, and was successful in Spain. So it's just different styles. He might have been like that to get the best out of players, because the players that he had and what he done, and the players that he brought to Liverpool, he must have had some kind of connection with players in some way or other. But I think when you're there of the likes of Carrier and when Stevie G talks about him, and other players, we had similar experiences. Wasn't very, didn't have much of a connection. Was very cold in the way he spoke, but he was successful and doing what he was doing. So
that's what you say with Gerrard. Then probably at his prime, and he was thinking, "What do I have to do to impress him?" So what chance does a young lad who's already been told he's getting 2 games?
Well, that was the good thing to hear, because being a young kid, you never really got into the politics of everything around the club and the squad, if you like. Things were going on that I didn't know about at the time. Later on, you find out this was going on or that was going on. So it's kind of doesn't put you at ease, because it doesn't really matter now. But if one of our best ever players to play for Liverpool is feeling that, and I'm getting the same kind of vibes off a manager, or was off a manager, it sort of gives you a little bit of comfort, shall we say?
Yeah. Well, although he said that, you still probably your biggest game ever for Liverpool came under Rafa Benitez. It's Bayer Leverkusen, Champions League game. You got the badge on your arm. That must have felt incredible to play in that match. Yeah,
it was unbelievable. I think at the time we were 3-1 up. Yeah. I think, and it was literally just go on, stay in the middle of the pitch, and just try and win as many tackles as you can. That was sort of like the briefing, if you like. Be disciplined in your position. I can't really remember much about the game. I don't know if I done well or whether I didn't do well. I can't really remember. I remember obviously that's where the song comes on, the Ring of Fire, and I remember them, because I think we'd done a bit of running after the game, and the fans were still there, still singing it. So yeah, it was an unbelievable experience to be involved in that competition, to play in that stadium. Obviously with the group of players that we had, and then obviously what happened, so it makes it even more special. But it was again just an experience, and wearing the Liverpool shirt at any time, but in the Champions League in a competition that we end up going on to win is incredible when you look back on it.
Yeah, and then, as you say, it wasn't just that game you're involved in. Obviously, that's the one you come on, but I've heard you spoke about being like Juventus away and being a fan on the bench, probably already knowing it's unlikely you're coming on. Yeah. So were you just reveling in watching the matches and being a fan?
The best one was Chelsea, the Chelsea home one. It was amazing when we scored, because obviously, going about Rafa, he's quite focused in what he's doing and doesn't show any emotion. So when we scored, we were like up cheering, obviously, and for some reason it was like people coming behind us. But obviously, this was the lads on the bench, and we sort of fell on top of them. It was like, ooh, just knocked the gaff at us or like that. But I think even at the end of the game, we done it. We were jumping up and we were like kind of singing a little bit. But I think at that time we didn't care, because we were cheering on the team. The fans were getting involved. It was just a very emotional time. But I think that is probably one of the best moments I've had as I wouldn't say a player, because I wasn't on the pitch, but being in the squad at that time, the atmosphere was unbelievable. And even like we were fans then. I know we were on the bench and should have stayed professional, but you couldn't help but get involved. Yeah,
but I think many people say, especially of like a younger generation, maybe that's the best atmosphere that Anfield's ever seen. So for you to be a fan on the bench with like your mates who you've grown up with, playing
I think there was a lot of us on the bench at the time, so we were involved as fans, probably more so as players. We knew we weren't getting on because he weren't going to change it, so we just enjoyed the day. We enjoyed the game.
I can just ask you maybe about the Ardigo Johnson shot. I think everyone. Time stood still.
Yeah,
were you on the bench
a mini
watching
art
that?
stack at the time. Yeah, so, but I think once that happened, I think we just knew it was going to be our time to win something.
Yeah, and obviously Istanbul's special. You're not on the bench. Stephen Warnock recently did an interview. You probably may have seen it. He's talking. I'm not going to ask you maybe to cover too much on it, but he's saying he didn't like Rafa because he should have been on the bench. He wasn't given that chance. I know he was a couple of years older than you, Warnock as well, but. You got a financial benefit out of being on the bench and being a fan watching Liverpool reach a Champions League final. Did you think you might be part of the squad for the game? Were you disappointed to find out the same you weren't? Or?
No, not really. I didn't think I was going to be in the squad. I think we were in the travelling squad, which would have been about 20 or 22 would have gone over. So we were in that squad. We went over, and then obviously the match day squad comes out, and I didn't think I was going to be involved. But saying that, I think that was probably kind of being a bit humble about it, because we were on the bench from more or less nearly every game in the Champions League at that time. I think, and I've got a bad memory, by the way, so I might be wrong, but I remember being on the bench for a lot of games. So looking back, I had a bit of a chance of being on the bench. I know a lot of players have come back from injury, and lads have come back who were first team players. So probably looking back, I might have had a chance of getting on the bench. Wasn't no big problem. And obviously the game goes on within the crowd, which is again brilliant, a great experience to go and watch a final. And then obviously the game happened. And then the biggest thing for me, and Steve's right, I've seen Steve a couple of days ago and we were speaking about it, to be fair, and it was probably wrong the way it went. And I remember we got the plane back and we were on the coach, and as we were on the coach, to get the open top bus was on the screen, and it was sad, and probably angry about it, which we probably rightly deserve to be. And then I think that summer I left. I went to Hull then on loan. I think I had a tournament for England that summer, so I think I had about 2 weeks off. Went with England, and then obviously went on to on loan to Hull. Ended up signing for Hull, but even during that time, I was still really angry and probably a bit bitter about it, because I think like for two years after the game, I was like, didn't want to watch Liverpool, wasn't bothered about what score they got on, and was probably a little bit bitter about it, but got over it, and now I'm a big fan again. So it is what it is.
That's such a special time, and like you very much at least deserve to be part of the celebration. So were you in the dressing room at all after?
Yeah, we went in the dressing room. We went to the hotel after. we had a bit of a party in the hotel, and then once we got to the airport, there was 2 planes. I remember there was a problem with the police, and they needed us back as soon as possible, and it ended up the match day squad, I think their families, and then I don't know, it was like board members or something like that, and it ends up the young lads and a couple of lads. There was some, I'm sure Fernando Morientes wasn't on the plane as well. Chris Kirkland, who was again a first team player. So there was some lads who weren't there who probably should have been, but I feel we should have all been on the plane. Yeah. There should have been all the players, especially the likes of Neil Mellor, who scored the goal against Olympiacos. Stevie Warnock has obviously been involved in a couple of games, so I think it should have been all the players that should have been on, in my opinion. But it is what it is, and it's history. But we enjoyed the day. The game was incredible. You couldn't have not enjoyed that. But I think for a bit after that, I was a bit bitter, a bit angry. Got over it, and now I'm back supporting Liverpool again. Yeah, again.
So yeah, obviously you're a Liverpool fan again today, and that's great to see it. But what we'll do is we're going to go to a quick break, and then we'll talk about the rest of your career after Liverpool. So we'll see you in a sec. Are you looking for a Kazakhstani football team to support? Then I think FC Kemay is the team you should support. Do you agree?
Growing up as a child, I always had FC Kemay posters on my bedroom wall.
Well, and all the children of the Kazakhstani future will have FC Kemay posters on their wall, because FC Kemay is the team to support, and because of that, Tom has made us a chant that we're all going to follow. So,
up the Kemay, up the Kemay,
up the Kemay. Make sure you follow them on all the social medias. All the posts and all the things you should follow will appear below us right here. And you should be a supporter of FC Kemay.
Live, laugh, Kemay.
Hello, welcome back. Still here with John Welsh. Going to talk about life after Liverpool. Obviously, it's probably gut-wrenching, I'd say, maybe, to notice that your career's ending at Liverpool, but Rafa was honest with you. Yeah. He told you to go somewhere else. Somewhere else was Hull City. Yeah. What did it feel like, just first of all, just driving to Hull and realising you weren't going to be in Liverpool for a while?
It was a bit daunting, really. I didn't want to leave because I loved the club, but everything that had gone on before made it a bit easier, if that makes sense. And I didn't really know how to get to Hull, didn't know where it was in the UK. And a scout who had scouted me at Liverpool, Arthur Edwards, he was good enough to take me and my missus up to Hull to drive us up, because we had a hotel there, so we drove us up to the hotel. And again, it was totally opposite to Liverpool. Everything there, your boots were cleaned, your kit was ready, your meals were done, and then I go into Hull. I think they'd just been promoted from League One into the Championship, and it was like you had to take your own kit home. You got beans on toast after training. You had to sort your own boots. You had to take your own boots to games. So it was a bit of an eye opener, but it was what I wanted. First team football. I think that's what I needed, really. You can do as much training, and I was training with world class players. But if you're not getting that game on a Saturday, there's motivation dwindles and keeps getting lower and lower. So I was ready. I felt I was ready for first team football. I wanted first team football, and I think that season I played 35 games, which is exactly at that point in my career what I needed. Really enjoyed it. Eye opener again, as I said, it's totally different to Liverpool, but great team, great players who welcomed me with open arms. It was more of a togetherness at Hull, I think, because it was lads, obviously English lads. There was no kind of Spanish, French, different groups. It was just like all one big group. I think they'd gone from League 2 to Championship in consecutive years, so, and it was pretty much the same team. So they were quite a close knit kind of bunch of lads. And again, they opened me with open arms. I knew obviously Nick Barmby was there, who'd been at Liverpool. So again, he integrated me well in the squad. And I think just in terms of playing wise and personal life, it just fitted it in really, really comfortably.
Yeah, and there's some big characters in the dressing room. I don't think Nick Barmby was the biggest character, maybe, but he's obviously an experienced player, looked after you. But can you speak about some of the names that you share in the dressing room? Obviously, Dean Windass, I'm guessing, was someone who had a few stories about. A few
characters. Obviously, Barnes was the most respected, obviously for what he'd done in football. But yeah, Dean Windass is a lively character, always up to something. Who else was there? Jimmy Bullard was there. He was a good laugh. He was a really good laugh. Again, when you put players like him and Dino together, it's just crazy.
Any stories in the dressing room you're allowed to share? Or
I remember one. So every time we used to come into training, Jon Parkin.
Big Jon Parkin. Yeah.
So obviously Jon Parkin was there. So every time after training, Parkin would come in and get in the bath. So he'd ask the kit man to run his bath 10 minutes before the end of training. So he'd come straight in, jump in his bath. So for whatever reason, the keepers had finished. So one of the keepers had come in, seen the bath was full, and jumped in the bath. So Parky comes in, not happy, kicking off, moaning at the kit man, moaning because someone's jumped in his bath. So the keeper was in the bath. So Parky's being naked, just about to get in the shower. Next one, he just runs over to the bath, squats in the bath, does a you-know-what in the bath while the lad's still in there. Went, you can have me effing bath, and walked away. It was just mad because it was so unexpected. But again, Parky, great laugh. I think that was just the lads there. They were just always up for a laugh, you know. When we needed to be serious, we were serious, but we got the sort of balance of being good mates and being good professionals really well.
No one got in his bath again, I'm guessing.
No, that'd be the worst thing you do. You wouldn't know what was in it.
You're like quite a quiet person. You said yourself there, even coming from in Liverpool, you're like taking a step back. Yeah. Is that not daunting, having people doing stuff like that? Obviously, Jimmy Bullard famous for being very loud and stuff. Is it, or are you just trying to not get in the way of their stuff?
I don't think it was like a quiet, like a shy kind of quiet. I think I was quite comfortable in an environment like that because I'd been like that all my life, you know, being fairly comfortable. But I was just a quiet lad. Probably wasn't the best with banter, but enjoyed listening to it, and you know. But yeah, I was just a quiet, but it wasn't like I was overawed by it all or anything like that. It was just the way I was.
Yeah. Just don't want to be the one on the end of it.
Maybe. Yeah, sometimes it was, and you'd have to deal with that, and that's just
the dressing room. Yeah. And obviously you're under 21s as well, playing under Peter Taylor. I think you represented every age group. That's right, and you played with like some big players in the 21s. Yeah. So when you're doing that, you know, are you expecting then that you're gonna go on and make a senior appearance for it, or was that just having that experience playing there and then taking international football into club football? Was that something that you used, or?
Yeah, I don't think there was ever like a thought that I'd play for England like first team level, if you like. It was just that I enjoyed it. It was again really, really good experience, playing with really good players, playing with players from different parts of the country, which is you get like players down south who are quite lively, quite loud. You know, it could be like 7:30 in the morning and they're just the same, whereas people from up north are probably a bit more quieter in the morning. But yeah, just dealing with different characters. But I love being away with England. It was really good. And the good thing is Pete Taylor was the manager of Hull, so that sort of that connection happened. I think I played 8 or 9 games for them. Scored 1, which is weird for me. But yeah, I loved it, the experiences and the travelling again. I really enjoyed the travelling side. Probably got used to it being at Liverpool, you know, Champions League or European competitions. Probably didn't take it in as much as I wish I would have, because we've been to some fantastic places and seen some really good tourism sites, if you like, and I never really took it on. It was just sort of, you know, you're young, you don't think of where you're at and what the history of where you're at is. But yeah, I enjoyed travelling, and I don't think with Hull we were never going to be in Europe or anything like that. So I sort of got that sort of kick from being with England and travelling to places up and around it. Probably more Europe. I don't think we went out of Europe at the time. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Great lads again. Peter Taylor, who was for me probably one of the best managers I've had in terms of tactically spot on, had success, probably the best manager for me. Knew what I needed. I remember one time where I think it was my first season, played a lot of games, and I think as a young player, when you play like 20, 25 games in a season, fatigue comes in, you form dips a little bit, and it got around Christmas time, and I was a young lad, obviously with my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, and I remember him pulling him to the office, and he was sort of like, "How are you feeling?" I was like, a bit tired, but I'm ready to go. Didn't want to lose my place in the team. And he just went, "I'm just going to let you go home." He said, "It's coming up," I think it was the 22nd of December. And he went, I'm going to let you go home for a week, spend it with your family. And I remember coming out of his office thinking, gutted, he doesn't fancy me, he wants me out the team. And obviously went home, spent Christmas with the family, and come back ready to go, and probably played some of the best football at my time at Hull at the time. And he just knew what I needed, and even though I didn't think of it myself, I didn't think it was the right thing myself, it turned out to be, and he just got me like that. He just knew what I needed and when I needed it.
Yeah, well, that's some credit as well when you've played under Benitez and Gerrard, who interview him at that highly. Yeah. And obviously say there you needed football. You'd come from Liverpool, you're playing, a handful of games a season, if that. So to go on, to kick on, to make yourself a name at Hull, and then a few messages between you and Neil Mellor before a match lead to a bad event. So you just describe that day for us. Yeah,
so we were playing, obviously I was at Hull, we were playing Preston. I don't think it was a massive game. There wasn't a lot riding on it. It was just obviously just a normal game, 3 points. And obviously Mel's was playing, so we were good friends. So I think I rang him, or he rang me, whichever way it was. So we were talking about the game, and it got into the first thing I said in a jokey kind of way, or a bit banter way, was, "First minute, I'm going to smash you. I hope you know that." And he was saying he's going to do the thing. I think he would have been saying he's probably going to score an hat-trick or whatever, because he loves scoring goals. And then I think probably about 6 minutes into the game, I played the ball into a centre forward. He's given me a bad pass back, so it's gone over my shoulder. As I've turned, Mel's coming towards me, and it wouldn't have mattered who it was. It didn't matter that it was Mel's, but I went to win the ball. Probably got in a bit too high. Won the ball with my left foot, but my right foot followed over. Mel's has gone to hook it into the channel. I think where he's caught me, I think his shin pad has caught because I wore the slip-in ones, so there's no protection on the side, and he's caught me right on the side. And as soon as he sort of connected, and it wasn't his fault, by the way, I just knew I'd broke my leg. Was face down in the grass and just knew not to move. But it wasn't really painful, didn't feel pain. Just remember thinking, I've done something really bad here. And it was like right in front of the bench. And I remember just looking at the physio and just shouting, "I've broke my leg." And then I think I got off the pitch, was sat in the tunnel kind of area, gets in the ambulance, and then as the ambulance is turning, obviously my leg's all strapped up, it's in the brace. I can remember feeling my bones moving in my leg, and I remember saying to because it was the assistant physio, went, "I've definitely broke my leg," and he was like, "You don't know, we got the X-ray," and I went, "I can feel my bones moving in my leg as the ambulance is turning. I've definitely broke my leg." And then that was it. I think I was out for, must have been about just over 12 months, I think it was. And that wasn't just being out, it was like getting back. So I probably wouldn't have been able to train for about, say, 10 months. And then obviously it's getting your fitness back and getting up to speed and make sure your muscles are right and built up and you're strong and stuff like that. But it was a testing time in not only me professional career, but personal as well, because it affects that. Got me. I'm like on I think about 2 days post-op, sitting on the couch lying on the couch with my leg in a brace, I think it was at the time. And I remember thinking, I need to go to the toilet. I said, but if I go to the toilet, I won't be able to wipe myself. And I was thinking, you're saying to me, "Miss, you're gonna have to wipe me." And she's like, "Oh God." So, but yeah, it was testing time. But I knew with the family I've got around me, obviously my wife, who deserves a lot of credit, I knew that I'd come through it. At times it was tough. It was really tough, being in a gym on your own, trying to work hard when the lads are out playing, and you want to do nothing more than be out there training. It does get tough, and you do have dark times, but I think I'm a strong enough character to know that I would have got through it, and got back to full fitness and got back to playing. But there was doubts. I think when I first done it, I thought I couldn't even walk, and every time I stood up, I could feel something weren't right with my leg. And I remember thinking, I'm never going to play again here. But you go through them times, and it's a test, but you just get through it.
Well, you did, and you had spells at Chester, Carlisle, and Bury, and obviously no disrespect to those teams, but that must be, a couple of years ago. You just said on the pitch at Istanbul, watching Liverpool in the Champions League, then you're having loan spells, trying to get your fitness back, your legs not quite right. I know you touched on it there, but mentally, was there enough support for you, do you think, at that time to help you get through that, or was that just still not really part of the game, do you think?
Yeah, I don't think that was part of the game then. I think it was just sort of get on with it type attitude. I think it's been like that in football for a long time. You get players who've got injuries, who spend months and months and months in the gym on their own, obviously with the physio, but trying to get themselves right. You get lads who are out of contract who probably will affect them financially, personally. Lads who are addicted to gambling, lads who are addicted to alcohol, lads who are addicted to painkillers. It does happen a lot in football, and I think we're probably in a good place now. We're a better place than what we were a couple of years ago, because there was no support, there was no conversations around it. It was just basically get on with it. I think that the word is probably, which would have been used, would be man up and get on with it type attitude, which has changed a lot now, which is good. But I think at that time it was just, you're injured, get yourself fit, basically. But yeah, there was dark times, but it was never nothing really, really bad, because I knew I was a strong enough character to get through it. I remember going on loan to them teams, and I was rubbish. I think in all three loans were rubbish, and it probably down to me as well. I probably wasn't ready for them, but I just wanted to play games. So I think me wanting to play games and going on loan, but it was an eye-opener in terms of how far behind I was, and that just drove me on to wanting to get better, to wanting to get stronger, and get back to what I wanted to, which was not so much what level, but just get back to playing and playing well, because the loans helped me in a way, but I was rubbish, and it was down to me, and I knew that.
Yeah, well, so it's admirable. That's why you left Liverpool. You want to play football, and making a decision from leaving a Premier League club, going to a Championship side. You can then forever be seen as a Championship player. If you get injured there and you drop again, you could forever be seen lower and lower. But you did keep going. You did fight back, and maybe it wasn't the pinnacle of your career, but playing under John Barnes and Jason McAteer at Tranmere. First of all, it must have just been great to come back to. Not home, as we know, but very close to home, over the water. What was it like just before we talk about them, just going back to your family and
again, it was difficult because obviously found out contract weren't getting renewed at Hull. So again, it's what do we do? No clubs were really interested because I was coming back from an injury. I had a couple of loans that didn't work, and it was sort of where do we go from here? So we were moving back anyway, because obviously time was up at Hull. I had a house there, but we were selling up basically and coming back. Got a phone call, I think it was from Jason, who was saying, do you want to come in and do a bit of training at Tranmere? It was like, do you want to come in and interested in signing at Tranmere? So I was like, yeah, definitely. It ticked all the boxes, home. I could play because probably a little squad at Tranmere, more chance of playing, get myself right, get myself fit, get myself strong, and I'll be back to playing 30-40 games a season. So I was like, yeah. So turned up pre-season, day one, had a meeting with John Barnes, and he was like, oh no, sorry, it wasn't John Barnes, it was with the chairman, and he was like, we want to sign you, but we want to make sure you're fit and strong and healthy to begin with, which at the time wasn't great to hear, but I understood it. So day one was a run up Mo Vama. So we run up Mo Vama, and we have to do it twice. We went up and then back round, then back up again. And I just thought, I'm just going to try and I'm going to try and win this race if I can, because I was fighting for the contract basically. Didn't finish first, but I think I come about fifth. Done okay. So I remember walking back down and talking to Jason. He was like, "You look fit, you look strong. We should be all right." And I think by the 4th or 5th day, I think the next day, we done the bleep test. So it was like proper pre-season where it was hard. Ends up signing there anyway. I think I signed a year. I think I got a year there. And then obviously John and Jason left. I think Les Parry took over then. And Les was a old school kicker and chaser kind of manager. Because we were struggling. I think we might have been bottom of the league then at the time, or in the bottom 3. So it kind of suited me a little bit, because I was obviously an aggressive tackling midfielder, so that kind of ticked boxes for me again, and ended up doing okay. I think after that I signed a 2-year, or might have been another year again, I can't remember. But I enjoyed Tranmere. It was good. Again, good group of lads, all mainly local. But it was an interesting time, because we had a couple of good results. There was a couple of big teams in League One at the time. So we had some good times. I think that the closest, I wouldn't say the closest we had to success, but probably the best day I had there was we had to beat Stockport the last game of the season. And we ended up doing it, and we had a little bit of a party after it. But I enjoyed the Tranmere. It sort of got me back on track of what I wanted to get from football, or where I wanted to be, or the levels that I wanted to get to. So yeah, it was a good time at Tranmere. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and if I can ask you, John Barnes and Jason McAteer, obviously I know it didn't work too well, but obviously playing under John Barnes, being a Liverpool fan, and special. Jason McAteer, obviously a former player, but I think I've heard you say John Barnes was too good in his head football wise for the football he was trying to make the team play. But stories from them too. Jason McAteer famously has a lot of stories and maybe not coming out as the most clever person. So is there any funny stories of them two when they were coaching, maybe aside from football? Or
no, not really. I've got like a kind of funny, but it's probably not. Jason was a great lad. He kept the morale within the team. Always laughing and joking. John Barnes should say, he was my idol as a Liverpool player. As a Liverpool fan, sorry. I love watching him. He was, probably, other than Steven Gerrard, probably one of my favourite Liverpool players. Obviously, I was a bit young for Kenny Dalglish and them kind of players. So he was one that I grew up watching in the stands. And we were doing like team shape or team build-up play, and what we had to do was get it from the left back or right back and switch like a diagonal to the opposite winger, which seemed simple enough, but there must have been about 4 of us who couldn't do it. Whatever reason, we got it out of our feet, tried to switch it, slicing it or over it and it, under it and it. And he was getting frustrated. And he had trainees on, Adidas trainees or something he had on. And he went, swearing, "How can you not do that?" Which we should have been able to do, but for whatever reason we couldn't. Next minute, "This is how you do it." Got it on his right foot. Obviously he's left-footed. Got it on his right foot. Absolutely pinged it out in his trainees, by the way, to the opposite winger. And he was like, "That's how you do it. Just do that." And we were like, "What chance have we got?" We were like, "You're John Barnes, though. We won't be able to do that." Yeah. But he was. I think he probably wanted us to play in a way that we probably couldn't, or probably weren't good enough to do, in a tough league against tough teams. He wanted obviously total football from back to front, pass, and I think early in the season we did do it. We were quite good at doing it. We just couldn't score, and we were probably a bit soft in terms of conceding too many goals. We come up against a bit of a physical team. We just sort of crumbled. But I remember being at Ellen Road, and Leeds were unbelievable. I think they were top of the league. And and we were 3-0 down within 10 minutes. And I remember looking at the bench and thinking, should we go a bit more direct? And he was like, no, keep playing. And I think that's probably what killed him a little bit, is that he probably wanted to play kind of Premier League football, if you like, a bit ahead of his time, with probably players who couldn't do it. Yeah, probably say.
That's right. Well, if you look what Burnley did in the Vincent Company, maybe he would have got the Bayern Munich job. Jon Parkin, years later, so you never know. Well, we'll go into Preston as well. Obviously, I think that's maybe where you're maybe most famous, or maybe your favourite days as a player. Yeah. I think, I've listened to you speak about how the Tranmere never really made you an offer of a contract. Preston did. Yeah. You're playing under Graham Westley. I heard he sent you some interesting texts after matches. what was it like at 1 o'clock in the morning when your phone pings and a message off the manager?
It was mad. So nothing had really happened at Tranmere. It was like, I didn't know whether they wanted me to stay, whether I was going. Nothing had kind of happened, and then obviously the Preston thing comes, and as soon as I went up there, I knew it was the club for me. Met the manager, met the chairman, and it was probably done fairly quickly. And then obviously you've got to wait until it gets confirmed by the club and goes on social media and stuff like that. But it was strange, because I'd never sort of heard of managers texting players, or at that time, not even at that time really, it was just mad messages. It was like a whole team talking a text at like 3 o'clock in the morning. So it was something that we weren't used to, or something I weren't used to. But there was good elements to it. I'm sure people have listened to stories about Graham Westley. But saying that, it was probably the most fittest I've ever been in my career, probably the strongest I've ever been in my career. And I think the way football was going at the time, probably two things that you had to be to play at a good level. So yeah, there was some crazy moments to it, but he brought me to a club that, now I can honestly say that I loved the football club, was successful there, still working there now. So yeah, I probably owe him a lot in terms of bringing me to that football club at that time in my career.
Yeah, well, I think, if you look at him and Rafa, maybe it's a bit of a strange comparison, but you don't have to like your manager maybe to make them play you the best or get you the fittest, so maybe that's what he was like. But Simon Grayson came the promotion king, really. Obviously, I know you're trying to get out of League One into the Championship at that time. You come very close. I'm a Liverpool fan. You've signed me share for me mate. He's a massive Preston fan. I was at the game when Joey Garner scored that goal, and the one where Beckford scored that goal. So I hardly went to any Preston games, but I think I was a good luck charm, because I saw the best goals that my mate's ever seen. So, but obviously playing in those two matches, both at Deepdale, before we go on to what it was like, I remember running on the pitch at the end of it and all that. So what was it like? Just, although the first time it didn't lead to being promoted, but what was it like just trying to get that club back to a league it belonged in?
Yeah, it was amazing. When Simon Grayson come in, we knew the success he had with previous clubs. That sort of give us the motivation to go on and do it. I think in his I think he come halfway through one season, and then the next season we got to the playoff semis against Rotherham, which would be the Joe Garner goal probably, and we fell short. We got, I think, a draw in the first leg, and then we got beat 3-1 in the second leg, and it hurt a lot. It hurt a lot of lads in the dressing room. And then the next season, I think Simon brought good players in. Probably weaknesses that we had in that season, plus obviously the experience of getting to playoffs and faltering at the last hurdle. But we'd had that experience of going through a full season, getting to the playoffs, and it sort of gives us an extra motivation to want to do well. Brought good players in, and we set off like an house on fire. It was sort of back and forth with, I think it was MK Dons at the time. So we get to the final game of the season. We had to win to basically automatic promotion against, I think we played Colchester. They needed to win to stay up. Obviously, we had family back at Deepdale waiting for us. We had a plane ready to take us back to Deepdale. We had an open-top bus ready to take us round Preston. Lads were all set up with the clothes. We had everything. Everything was sorted, thinking we're going to win. Then we'll go and celebrate. Get to beat 1-0. Absolutely devastated, absolutely distraught. As a group, the quietest I've ever seen a group of players. So we obviously get back on the bus, going back to the airport, and then just a speech from Simon Grayson just changed everything. He'd been there before. He told us he'd done this before. He's experienced it. He knows how to win at doing it. Be disappointed now, but when you turn up Monday morning, the slate's clean. We're back on it. And I think that speech just sort of galvanised everyone. We were still gutted, don't get me wrong, and I was pissed off for the whole weekend. But Monday morning, I was back to work, back focused. And we played Chesterfield. They were a really good team. We knew a couple of lads before, and they were like, after the game. And it was like, we thought we'd beat you. We thought obviously the effects of what happened of not going up in automatic. We thought we were going to steamroll you, to be honest, because they were a good side, a really good side, play football, really attacking team. The first game, they absolutely battered us. We won 1-0. Defended a lot in that game. And I think after that game, that we just knew we were going up. I think there was never a doubt in certainly in my mind. And it seemed to spread a little bit after that game. Second leg, absolutely battered them. We're going to Wembley against Swindon, who were again football on team, total football, play back to front, everything on the deck. We knew it was going to be a tough game, but there was just a belief within us that we were not going to lose. And then half time, 3-0 up, and we're thinking, what is going on here? I couldn't believe it. It was like we probably knew the game was kind of over, but it was panic because we couldn't believe it. And then we come in at half time and everyone's like sort of panicking. And then second half, we go in the second half 1-0, 4-0 result. And it's probably one of the best seasons I've had.
At half time, 3-0, is there any thoughts back to Istanbul thinking this can't happen to me? Or
Probably, yeah. I think that was probably the panic. It was like, don't let them back into it. Next goal's massive. I just remember being quite panicking.
It was too good.
But yeah, it just seemed too good to be true that we were this far ahead against a really, really good team. Yeah. But we were a good team as well. We were quite powerful, quite rigid, so we knew we wouldn't concede many goals. So I think 3-0 up, kind of back of our minds, we knew it was job done, but we didn't want to let them back into it, which is what we done.
Yeah, well, it's obviously a special day, and you're back with it in the Championship, and I said, well, obviously that's what Preston's aims were. You play there for a while, as I say, the manager changes. You've already spoke about Alex Neil, but just, I think it shows your love for football again, that you make moves to Grimsby, Atherton, Colliers, Stafford. Yeah. You obviously just love playing the game. Was that always what you wanted to do? Like, if you were someone who was on the bench, you just hated it? Was it always you just had to play and you just wanted to play as long as you could? And was that maybe because of your broken leg, because you lost time through football, you just wanted to get the most out of it? Or
I think it was just love of football. Even now, I'm old and fat, I want to play football. I've tried going to the gym. I don't like it. I've tried running and doing 5Ks when everyone was doing that. I didn't like it. The only thing I seem to enjoy is playing football. Or any charity games that come up that I'm asked for, I always want to do it because I just love playing football. I enjoy playing football. Still do. Even training with the young lads now at Preston. You want to get involved. You want to be involved. Any small-sided games, you're trying to get in there. So yeah, from 6 years of age to now, I don't think I've ever not loved wanting to be involved in football or wanting to play football. So I think that's just where that comes from. And obviously you get the professional side where you want to play because that's how you earn your wages, if you like. But for me, it was just about enjoyment. I wanted to be involved in any level. The Atherton and the Stafford thing comes not because it's a financial gain, because it's probably not that much really. It was just a game of football on a weekend, and that's what I wanted to be, being in the dressing room, being around lads who you could probably go to every dressing room within the league and it'd be kind of similar, the banter going round, the characters within that. But yeah, it was just wanting to play football and the enjoyment that I knew I'd get. Even if it was losing a game, I still, we played on Saturday and got beat 6-5. But I love being on the pitch. I love, being involved in these football matches.
Yeah, well, if you want to play six-a-side with us for any away retreat, I've got your number now. You're playing for us, don't worry. It was just very finally, just before we go through a break, you're the professional development coach at Preston, and this year you won the Youth Alliance League.
Yeah.
So just quickly explain what's that mean? What's your job entail now?
That is, so we get like scholarships, lads coming in. So we'll have first year scholars and second year scholars. I think this year we've got third year scholars. That's like the ages, say 16, 17, 18, sometimes 19. All playing within the youth team at Preston North End. All of them trying to earn a professional contract to play for Preston's first team. So just involved in that is day-to-day coaching of the team, trying to develop these players, trying to give them as much advice as I can, and just trying to get them to go where they want to go is basically the job. We want them to play for our first team, but if that doesn't happen, then we want to give them enough advice, enough knowledge, develop them as much as we can to them going on to have a career in football if possible. Also in with that is the educational side. So the lads will be doing, some of them will do BTEC, some will do A levels. So probably similar to the way that I probably come up through the academy, wanting to develop these players first and foremost as people. So make them better people, try and give them a good educational background in case they don't make it, if you like, or if they don't have the career that they want. And then probably on top of that is trying to develop them in terms of the football potential. But we've got some great lads who are really driven, who want to be footballers, who want to give every day to obviously to be the best they can, to want to develop, wanting to get better, and we're just used as tools to try and get them there. Try and give them advice, little tips, and try and coach them into the Preston way, if you like, and that filters down from the first team, and we've got to try and resemble what they do, and give them the sort of tools to make that transition if it does happen into the first team as smooth as possible. But yeah, really enjoying it. It's a different way than what I wanted to do, because I always thought coming out of football as a player I'd go straight into a first team coaching environment, but I think if I would have done that, I don't think I was a good enough coach to do that. Probably would have, I wouldn't have lasted long in that environment. So to go back and learn and develop myself in terms of coaching has been a massive plus for me, and it's been a good pathway for my development as well.
Yeah, well, that's possible. Best of luck with it. And
cheers,
we'll see you coaching in the Premier League maybe one day. Keep going. All right, well, we'll go to a quick break and we'll have a little more chat about football in a sec. See you in a sec.
Hi, I'm Warren, the producer for the Football Historian podcast, and we're here today to talk to you about the Patreon subscription.
Yes, so for just £1 a month for the first 100 people, there's a lot of benefits that you get, and I think £1 is a terrific deal.
Pittance, yes,
£1 only, and you get early access, which means at least 24 hours before everyone else gets the episode, you get to watch it. There's also an extra section, we call it the Football Historian Podcast Extra Time, and we ask all the questions to the guests that no one else gets to see unless you're a patron. And on top of that, you're the ones who get to ask the questions. You send them in, we tell you which guest is going to be coming and sitting in this chair. You ask them, we record it, you get to watch it. No one else does. On top of that, we do a monthly special. We did one last night. It was a quiz. You were there.
Yeah, bedlam and great content.
Yeah, so hopefully you can watch that. As I said, we've got a round on Linvoy Primus or Lionel Messi. We've done mastermind stuff, all that. That's going to happen every month. The bigger this grows, we're going to do it even more regularly. Hopefully it'll be once a week. But we need your support. So to do that, £1 a month for the first 100 people. Your early support will be rewarded. From then on, it's £3 a month if you want to support us. If you want to pay £5 a month, you get all that we've just mentioned, but you get a poster. Warren will sign it, I'll sign it, all the lads. We'll get a few of the guests to do it as well. We'll send that out to you, and then for £10 a month you get all that, the poster, all the early access, and you get a free copy of any of my books. So I've done one on Billy Liddell, Crossing the Park, Tommy Lawrence. They're all worth at least £20. For just £10 you get a copy of the book, all the stuff we've already mentioned. We'd really appreciate your support. We cannot do this without you.
This really is a passion project, and anything people can put into it goes straight back into it. We don't take a wage. We're doing this for free. We're doing this because we enjoy what we do.
That's it. It all makes the content better. And I say from just £1 a month, you can make our dreams come true. Thanks for the support. Enjoy the rest of the episode. Hello, welcome back. Football Historian Podcast Part 3. Want to talk a bit more about football and maybe you as a fan on this time. So, your first game or first memory of football, what comes to mind? Someone who struggles with the memory, sorry, this might be a hard question.
First memory. I think it would probably be something along the lines of playing grassroots. Probably, I used to, obviously my big brother used to play, and he was a couple of years older than me. So I used to do the train. So we used to train all the time with his team. But obviously the Sundays, because I was too young, I couldn't play. I remember a couple of Sundays crying because I couldn't play. So I actually remember, or kind of remember the first game I played. I think I come on as a sub, but we were crap. We were crap team, to be fair. We used to get beat every week. I think we lost like 14-0. But I just remember being absolutely made up because I was on the pitch. The shirt was massive on me, but I just loved being on the pitch.
Yeah, and from then on you knew it was going to be the game.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you reckon the best game you've ever been involved in is? So it can be as a fan, as a player, sitting on the bench, playing every minute, whatever you think.
The Chelsea semi-final is massive, but I think I'll go for the final for Preston, just because I played in it. It was a massive game, playing at Wembley. So I'll probably pick that one just because I was playing.
That's pretty hard to beat. Best era you think in football? So it doesn't have to be playing wise. Obviously, you could always say John Barnes as your hero playing. You see what football's like today.
Probably say the 90s. I enjoyed the 90s. I used to love the Italia kind of league. Then it was obviously La Liga. So, but I think that them players are unbelievable, and then obviously the Liverpool players as well. But I just remember my Sundays were obviously go and play grassroots down Botanic Park, and then back home for Goal Lazio, I used to call it, to watch that on Sunday with me cheese and toast. But I'd probably say that the 90s was my upbringing, so I'll probably pick that.
Channel 4, wasn't it? Always, I think everyone talks about that. Yeah. Who is the greatest football manager? So again, this could be someone you worked under, or just someone maybe you admire from afar. Now you're doing your coaching.
Greatest football manager. I'd probably pick Ancelotti, just for what he's done in the game and the amount of stuff he's won with different leagues, different obviously language barriers. Probably say him. Obviously, I love Klopp from outside looking in. But I think Ancelotti.
Yeah, just pretty special what he's doing at the moment, even still in his 70s and his like going on. And then maybe a tough one for you. This again can be playing or as a fan. The top 5 Liverpool players of all time.
It's a tough one. I'll go 1 to 5 because I think that's because I don't want to miss anyone out. Obviously, 1 for me, Steven Gerrard. 2, and I'd probably say this, but I didn't watch him as much. Probably watched him much more in videos or DVDs at the time. Probably Kenny Dalglish. 3, John Barnes. 4, Ian Rush. 5, I would say Robbie Fowler.
Yeah, not a bad selection. Yeah. And then the top 5 non-Liverpool players of all time.
It's a tough one. Got 1 to 5 again then. I think 1's got to be Messi. 2, Zidane. 3, Ronaldo. R9, Brazil 1. Go in. 4, Cristiano Ronaldo. 5, I want to go with someone that I will go with. There's that many. I'm just trying to. I used to love Romario. I'll go with Romario. I loved him as a kid.
Nice. And then keeping on the fives, can I have an all-time five-a-side team from teammates of yours?
Teammates
Feel
of
free
mine.
to put yourself in there.
Okay. So in goal, there was a player called Boaz Mael, who was at Hull. I think he played for Wales as well. Unbelievable. One of the best keepers I've played with. I think got player of the year. Probably not many people might know him, but he was a really good keeper. I'll go Sammy Ipia. Unbelievable. Could do anything. Head tackle. Could play. Alongside them, one of my favourites, Stefan Henchos. I think unbelievable defender. Great tackle. I learned loads from him about tackling. Steven Gerrard. Obviously speaks for itself. Xabi Alonso. Probably again speaks for himself. Unbelievable player. I will go with. I think I'm a forward type player, but I'm trying not to go Liverpool. Jermaine Beckford, he's a good player. Scored a lot of goals, scored a lot of important goals, so we'll go with Beck. He could finish. Everyone else could just give him the ball and he'll stand in the 6-yard box scoring.
Everton man up front in the Liverpool.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. And then just last question on this, but then the greatest individual performance you've seen, so maybe again you can be involved in or not be, but.
I'll probably go with Beckford again, probably. In the final, he scored an hat-trick. So to score an hat-trick in the final at Wembley, in a playoff final to get us promoted, probably deserves a lot of accolades for that.
Yeah, that's special. And I just want to ask about training, because I think a lot of people say like how you can always notice the greatest players in training as soon as they arrive. Is there someone who comes to mind as maybe you knew he was going to be a great player within minutes, seconds of seeing them play?
I think everyone knew how good he was anyway. But when I think of a player who trained like that, I think Steven Gerrard, just to provide everything about the way he trained was the way he played. He was phenomenal. Could do everything. Could run, tackle, head, score, defend, take free kicks, just everything he done, he had to do with perfection, and more often than not he did. If he passed you the ball and you give it away, he'd let you know. If you miscontrol it, because he used to wrap it into people, and I think that it helped me because I could deal with that. Not sort of deal with the way he played, but I could deal with that level of pressure, if you like, because the pressure of training with him was high. If you lost the ball and you didn't want to disappoint him because of who he was, and he always wanted to win, very competitive. So probably in terms of training, he was unbelievable. Could do anything with the football. Could do anything. Everything you'd asked him to do, he'd do with perfection.
He was all right on the Saturday and the match day as well.
Yeah, well, he was all right doing that as well.
All right, okay, we'll have one last final break and then we're going to settle some of the biggest debates in football history. See you in a sec. Welcome back to the next section of the Football Historian podcast.
Sorry, Pete, I'm really sorry to interrupt you. Where'd you get that shirt from?
Oh, this Lazio number's just from Classic Football Shirts. Where'd you get yours from?
Thank you. Mine's from Classic Football Shirts as well.
Wow. Well, when I bought my shirt, I used the code TFH10 to get 10% off all orders. Did you use the same?
I did. I used a discount code. I think it was the same as yours.
Oh, TFH10? Oh, that's great, because if you want to get 10% off all your orders, you can use TFH10 at classicfootballshirts.com.
Unbelievable deal.
The debate.
Welcome to the debate. Now it's all over to you to help me settle these debates in football. First one, I know what you're going to say, but I have to ask it anyway, and I'll ask for a second and third. Yeah. Gerrard, Lampard or Scholes?
Number one, Gerrard. I think probably everyone knew that. Second and third is tough. I'd probably go second, Scholes. third Lampard. But when you look at Lampard's goal record, you could easily put him as 2. But I think Scholes was probably similar to Gerrard, could probably do everything. I think Gerrard was at another level above him. I know there's a big debate over them 3, but just probably because of what Scholes won as a player, probably puts him in number 2. But massive respect for all 3 great players. But probably, as everyone probably already knows, Gerrard for me was head and shoulders over anyone in more ways than one.
Yeah. Doesn't surprise me, but I agree. Next one is Pele or Maradona.
I've never actually thought about that one. I would probably say Maradona, just basically because I've watched them more. I'd probably say I've seen patches of Pele and when he played, and again, unbelievable player, and but just Maradona, just because I've probably seen him more. Probably.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, we have a few questions. There's one more to come, but that is the closest one, definitely. Because I'm pretty sure I know you're going to say next as well. In Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo.
Okay. For a long time, I was Ronaldo. And then obviously Messi winning the World Cup tipped it to Messi. But I'll say Messi because I don't want to sit on the fence, but I wouldn't argue with anyone for either four. I think there's loads of different arguments of why you'd pick who you'd pick, and I don't think I would have a counter argument for that. But for me, it's Messi, and for different people, it'll be different. A different player for different reasons, and I totally get that. Yeah. 2 phenomenal players who will stand out on their own in this era. But for me, Messi just tipped it.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair enough. And then if Messi and Ronaldo are the best players in the last 25 years, who's the third best behind them two?
It's a tough one. I'm trying to think of all the players from. I don't want to miss anyone.
You mentioned Zidane and original Ronaldo before in your top 5.
I love Brazilian Ronaldo. I think he's massively underrated when people talk about best players in the world, and I know people talk about him, but I think even in terms of the top of the top, I think people probably underlook him a little bit. I love watching him when again I watched Liga and Serie A a lot, 2 leagues he played in. So, but when I look back at him for Barcelona, he was unbelievable. Again, could do everything. I think probably the way he went, because he put on weight, and probably didn't look great to the eye. But again, he's still a phenomenal player. So probably, I'll go Brazilian Ronaldo.
Fair enough. And then, who was the greatest team to ever play? So it doesn't have to be like one game. It can be like a 2-year period. It could be from a tournament, or it can be from one game. But who do you think the best football team ever is?
I think the Barcelona team of Messi and Iniesta and Xavi and them type of players, Busquets. I think they dominated football for a number of years. Changed the way people perceive football and look at football. Probably changed people within football in terms of coaches and the way players want to play and the way coaches coach the team, philosophies. And when you talk about all that, it was probably based all around Pep Guardiola's Barcelona, so I'd probably say them.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough again. And then one that we've been asked to ask, but I know what you're going to say again. Club or country? So let's say win the European Cup with your club or win the World Cup with your country. What would you prefer?
Probably closer than you think, but I probably have to pick club. I think being from this part of the world is something that, you know, you're passionate about your football club, and Liverpool, I've been Liverpool sports from the minute I could breathe. I get the rivalry. I actually do want England to win. I'm not a massive England fan, but I'll be watching the games. I will be supporting them. But you can't pick Liverpool. Sorry, you can't go against Liverpool for me.
Plus, being someone as well who's represented England on the 21 level, you know, maybe did you have that close tie with England, and then did it get more because you played there, or was it always the same? Or
I think being a young player, I love playing for England. You know, for any level. I think I played from like under 16s as a schoolboy, right up to 21s and really, really enjoyed it. Loved it, every minute of it. And then you know, I get the reasons why it's sort of Liverpool against England. It's not so much against England, it's more fan-based, I think, because obviously the songs that get sung around the country when Liverpool are playing. So I kind of get that. I get the sort of, hatred might be a bit strong word, but I do get it. Yeah. And I think that's probably why I'm not a massive England fan. And, you know, you won't see flags outside my house, or I won't be in an England shirt, but I want England to win. I want them to do well. I will watch, I will support. But, you know, it'll always be Liverpool first.
Yeah.
No matter what.
How will they do in the Euros, do you reckon?
Oh, they won't win it. They won't win it. I don't think so anyway. Okay. Listen, when you look at the players and the team, I think attacking wise, unbelievable. Should if things go well, they should score a lot of goals. But I think there's a lot of teams who will be like that. It will be tough. But I can't see past France, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I think that's everyone's pick, I think, at the moment, isn't it? And well, just last question: goalkeepers to choose between Buffon, Casillas, and Neuer. Can you put them in a 1, 2, 3 for me?
Buffon 1, Casillas 2, Neuer 3. I think I'd go.
That's fair enough. Right, well, that concludes the interview. Thanks so much again for coming in.
No worries.
Is there anything you want to plug or talk about, or where people can follow you, or anything you want to share with the world?
Not really.
No, that's perfectly fine. Yeah. Well, thanks very much. I do really appreciate you coming in. Obviously, it's great to speak to you. And I know I mentioned to you before, we made a massive Preston fan. Obviously, being a Liverpool fan as well. It's amazing to have someone who's
thanks for having me. I've enjoyed it.
No, thank you very much. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on the Football Historian Podcast.